Okay, boys, we are live.
Hmm.
How are we doing?
Cheers. I'm doing well. Rob, how you doing, man?
No complaints. No complaints. Yeah, living life. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you too. It's kind of nice to. So, MJ, I don't know if you knew this. So today, when I confirmed with Rob, I had an unfortunate auto text.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst. It's one of the worst ones I've ever seen.
It wasn't nearly that bad. It was bad though. It was bad. So I want to read it word for word just so that way we can well, not word for word, but mostly word for word. So basically, I was confirming things with Rob and asking him also about a good professional picture. Because
Yeah.
for whatever reason, I don't know why. Maybe Rob could answer
I
this.
don't, I don't take pictures. I'm not a picture taker. I never think to do it. I'm not photogenic. It's on me. I'm actually the hope for my career is that it's never easy to find a picture of me. That would be
Fair.
that'd be the ideal.
So I was asking him for a picture for our promo of our show, and he sent me a great one. By the way, it was awesome. Um, Appreciate it. He basically was saying he's not photogenic, blah blah blah. And shout out to my fiance. I actually said she makes me look good in pictures because I'm sure it's still not photogenic.
No, you're not.
Thank you. Anyway, so I agreed with Rob saying, yeah, man, I'm not very photogenic either. And then thankfully, instead of saying my fiance, it auto corrected to thankfully, mommy fiance makes me look good. So first of all, let me say that obviously I have a professional relationship with Rob with our show. Has like if it was a
I don't think
different
you have a very different relationship with your fiance based on the.
Oh, there it is. There. Yup. Yup.
I was like, I don't judge whatever everybody's
Yeah,
into,
whatever Bruce is into.
And I
It's all
appreciated it.
good.
I
It's all
did. I
good.
totally appreciated it. I immediately corrected it with like four blasts of like, "Hey, my fault. I meant mine with the asterisks and everything." And then, it's basically like when you're trying to drop the f bomb and you have duck instead. It's never duck.
Yeah.
Just like right there. Like believe me, I was saying mine, not mommy. All right, so
That's
I
how
said
we
I,
open up a show.
I said I was going to intro the show like that, Rob. So I figured I would be true to my word and true to my screw ups.
Anything for content, man. That's
Right, right.
that's what I'm learning. That's what I'm learning.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear what my basketball kids have to say to me about that one.
Well, hopefully they haven't found the show yet, so they won't catch that part.
Fair enough. But anyway, so Rob, man, I got to tell you, for covering a 6-8 team right now, it's actually fairly entertaining.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
what's the growth that you've seen during the course of just this year alone?
Yeah, we were talking about this a little off air. It really is, and maybe it's just because of how kind of a mess it's been the last few years for the Bulls that this 6-8 team feels like a revelation. But it really is. I mean, it's just I think there's a direction to the franchise in general. Obviously, there's buy-in from pretty much every player up and down the roster, regardless of role, regardless of playing time or usage or anything like that. It just seems like there's a level of engagement and trust between players and the coaching staff, players in the front office, that maybe wasn't as palpable before. And just the way they're playing, just it's an aesthetically a little bit more pleasing style of basketball. I think it's kind of been a 180 shift between last year. It was like, oh, the defense is kind of overperforming. They're kind of finding their way to being competitive in games through that end of the floor, and then the offense was obviously super moribund. But this year it's been the complete reverse. I think just the way that the game is played, what game of basketball is played these days, that's just a little bit more entertaining to watch. You're seeing key role players kind of fit into Billy Donovan's system a little bit more neatly than maybe they have in years past, and put up solid individual performances. They're competing with really good teams. Now they're still the Bulls. Like there are still the catastrophic OKC loss, which is just like one of the that loss actually in a vacuum is one of the more unbelievable basketball games I've ever watched.
How about that beat writer's tweet?
Amen. All PRs good PR. I was on 670 a couple days ago for a hit. It was actually my first time on the show that I was on, and they played in Adam Amin, who's awesome. Shout out Adam, our play-by-play guy at NBC Sports Chicago. Kind of roasting me for that. I get blown up every time Amin brings me up in the context of that tweet. I
love
get
it.
1,000
I love
texts.
it.
So that's great. I mean, it was an ill-advised tweet, and it taught me a lesson again. Like, they're still the Bulls, and there's still work to be done. This roster isn't done being improved. It's not all the ails are not magically cured.
Right.
But again, like a direction, and you feel that in the positive energy coming from the fan base, even over Zoom. It's pretty apparent talking to the players, talking to Billy Donovan, that things are just done in a different way. And I still don't necessarily think they're a playoff team, or I still don't necessarily think, again, that this is a team that's going to make this seismic leap this year.
Mm-hmm.
But at least there's a direction. So that's all I can really say about it. And it certainly is it's a more pleasing product to cover and to write about and to interact with fans about, just because it's tensions are a little bit more tempered now that there seems to be a real plan and some real kind of adults in the room of the whole thing.
I agree. So one of the things that I recently came across is a rumor, and mind you, I actually really like this player. I love Zach LaVine. I think he's developing very well. I think he's an all-star this year. I do. He should have been one last year, but I think he's an all-star this year for sure. You're seeing steady increase of ability and scoring, assists, rebounds per game. Everything's up. That said, there's also rumors about him possibly being traded. Yeah. And is there any credence to that? Is there any kind of truth to those rumors that you've heard or anything?
Well, I don't know, how much truth there is to like specific ones. And I don't know either way, whether they've engaged with teams or if they're stymieing offers or if there haven't been offers at all. Mm-hmm. I will say it makes sense that storyline has emerged a little bit just because he is playing so well. I think he's playing so well that actually before the season, I would have probably advocated for, or I maybe not advocated for, but I would have predicted that he would have been traded at some point before this rebuild was over. The way that he's played this year, though, like you said, this linear progress that he's displayed in pretty much all facets of his game, I'm like, is he going to get to a point soon where it actually makes it like this is a guy that you build around as opposed to flipping to build around? I think that's more of a discussion now than it was in the offseason, necessarily. But yeah, I mean, there's just a pragmatic reality to it where with 2 years left on his contract, the way that he's playing, he's the best player on the team and he's on a value deal right now. And before you have to make the decision on whether he's a max player or not, because he's going to want the max, whenever that contract comes up, that's the type of player that he sees himself as, and rightfully so. It just becomes a decision-making process of, is the team going to be far enough along that you can commit that much cap space to the guy that Zach LaVine is and still, continue to build that team that's going to be able to compete deep into the playoffs and for championships. And I've always said, like, whichever way the Zach LaVine situation goes down, I don't blame Zach LaVine for it. If Zach LaVine ends up going somewhere else that's not the Bulls and succeeding, because I do think on a winning team, he's not a losing player. Like, he's not an empty stats player to me. So I think wherever he ends up, he's going to make a positive impact. If it's on the Bulls, great. I think a lot of the fan base would advocate for that because he's got a lot of fans in the fan base, and again, rightfully so. If he ends up going somewhere else, I just think it's honestly more on the Bulls for not having the wherewithal to build the competitive roster around him sooner. Mm-hmm. And now you've got, it's almost a wasted opportunity that the first 2 years of this value deal that he's on have just been kind of filled with such turmoil. So I don't know which way it's going to go. I think he's playing himself into a place where you have to consider the possibility of not moving him. I still think with the way that, with how difficult a decision that is in terms of committing to him to max money for the long term, when you get to the trade deadline this year or even this offseason, it makes sense to me. Like, I would see the logic of trading him if you can get, multiple first round picks or young players that are more on the timeline of the 19 to 22 year olds that they're building around. I don't know. I could see it either way. All I can say though is that it's a joy to watch Zach. And like you said, I mean, every aspect of his game since he's come back from that ACL at a young age, getting traded on his rookie contract. This is now his, I think, 6th coach in 7 seasons. Like, it's really remarkable that he is where he is right now. That shouldn't be unappreciated. And again, like, if it does end in Chicago before, he can turn the franchise around in the way that he wants to, I'm not going to begrudge him for it. And I don't think many fans would either, to be honest.
I agree. And the teams that he's been on, I don't think that's a reflection of him as a basketball player either.
I agree. At this point, he's shown enough to me that
I agree. I get into a debate with a coworker of mine all the time about this, and sorry, side note. Anyway, MJ, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what I was going to ask about is, obviously, Rob, you're well aware, we've talked a lot about Kobe White on this show. he's impressed me, even though we won't get into the other debates we've had about Kobe White before. But I mean, I will say he has impressed me. Bruce, no, stop. He has impressed me this year. Obviously, I follow and cover the Warriors more, but I mean, when they played the Warriors, Kobe White did impress me a lot. But from your perspective, Rob, give us a little insight on what he has looked like this year.
Well, he's in a little bit of a cold shooting spell right now. The scoring and the shooting efficiency has been down for the last 4 or 5 games. And, I think as a 20-year-old, as Kobe White is, and he really is more of a great shooter than a great scorer at this point. He's not necessarily a prolific finisher. He's more reliant on kind of that jumper, whether it be the 3-pointer or getting to his spot in the mid range. And when he's hot, it's electric. When he's cold, it can be a little bit of a doldrums for times. That's kind of what he's in the middle of right now. But I think he's really with open arms embraced the starting point guard label. He worked a lot during the offseason on his pick and roll playmaking and decision making and how to find angles and how to get guys into sets. That's something that he really committed himself to, because I think he knows that that's the next step in his development and something that he wasn't really given the opportunity to do last season. And there were reasons for that. But, him coming off the bench all of last season to now all of a sudden playing, mid-30s minutes per game and having the ball in his hands a ton is just completely different. So I don't think he's a finished product with it yet. It's been up and down. But I think it's encouraging to see that you've already seen him post a career high in scoring against the Kings, a 36-point game. You've seen him post career highs in assists a couple times. I think the most recently he had a 13-assist game. And, I don't know if he's a true lead guard long-term, but I definitely think that this experiment that they're kind of running with him and allowing him to kind of feel it out and learn, I do think ultimately that's still going to be good for his development, because if there are games where, I can't remember which game I'm thinking of, but the Mavericks game also applies to this, a game that they won against the Mavericks, that coming off of that horrible OKC loss. Kobe was 0 for 5 from the field. And on a game, in a game like that last season, when he was not shooting well from the field, you would really see the way that he wouldn't affect the game in other ways necessarily. And I think you're seeing with passing, with his vision, with his ability to get guys organized, guys on the team have echoed this and have really stressed it. Like, if he can get to that point where his facilitating and his vision is good enough that he's still affecting the game, even when his shot is off, that's just a tremendous for his development. So I think he's been up and down. But again, I think it's all of these lumps and growing pains are going to be for the best long term. He's been one of the guys, him and Wendell Carter Jr., I think, have been the two guys that Billy Donovan has challenged the most in terms of they're in two completely different new roles offensively. They're both young players. They're both guys that Billy has, in the media, like not in a way that's admonishing them, but just saying like they need to be better in these areas. And, like I said, Kobe's rookie year probably wasn't ideal in terms of his usage and kind of just the rigors of it. But what I think he showed pretty remarkable resilience that year, and kind of the whole like sponge mentality, absorbing, learning, asking questions, things like that. He certainly showed that enough to where, as the ups and downs go on now, I wouldn't lose faith after a cold shooting spell, or maybe a game where he has, a few too many turnovers or whatever. So, he's impressed me to a degree in terms of how he's accepted the new role. The performance, I think he still has another level to go to. And ultimately, if he's playing fine and he still has another level to go to, that's encouraging, right? So, I'm certainly not selling any Kobe White stock. In fact, I might be buying some. And I think he's someone that, when you look at the wide scope of this season, he's someone that certainly stands to benefit from all the stuff that Billy Donovan is doing. So, there's stuff to look forward to there.
I know Bruce is buying all the stock.
Oh no, 100%. Like I was. It's great that you just said that, because I've made it a point when I watch games to really pay attention to Kobe White, and I sent a text to a buddy of mine. Shout out E-Rock. I ended up texting him saying that I love the smoothness in Kobe White's game, where he's quick off the dribble. He doesn't have the bounce that Derrick Rose had, but he's got like that smoothness with the ball and the quickness with the ball that. Maybe not as much as Rose, but he doesn't have the violent explosiveness that Derrick Rose had that ended up, unfortunately, being
his undoing. Yeah.
Right. So, but one of the things that you brought up when you were just talking about the Kobe White and the challenge that Billy Donovan has presented to him, and also Wendell Carter Jr., I'm actually curious to ask you, how's Wendell Carter Jr. doing right now? I know he's been hurt a little bit, so how's he doing?
Yeah, unfortunate, a bad break for Wendell. He suffered a thigh contusion in practice yesterday. Just a freak collision. So many of he's been slapped with this injury prone tag, but really all of his injuries have been trauma related, where they're just kind of freak accidents.
Yeah.
I think it's really unfortunate because, those first 2 games of the season, I think a lot of people wanted to jump on Wendell because he was playing poorly and looked a little bit out of sorts in the new defensive coverages that Billy Donovan was running. Obviously, offensively, he's doing a lot more facilitating. He's stepping out behind the 3-point line, which probably hasn't gone the way that people expected it to or wanted it to. But from the corners, he's been reasonably efficient. It's just probably the pick and pop stuff above the break. We can probably, stymie that. That experiment has probably run its course to a degree. But it's an unfortunate time for this injury because I think the last 7 games he scored in double figures in 7 straight games, averaging, I think, 14, 8, and 2.5 assists in those games. The block and steal numbers are starting to slowly come up a little bit. I think there was an adjustment period for him because, the Bulls are playing a ton of different coverages throughout a game, especially guarding pick and roll, which is like the most common action at the NBA level these days. They've been predominantly in a drop, which is a little bit more conservative. It requires screen navigation from the guards in terms of fighting over screens and getting into ball handlers, which is an area that Donovan has highlighted that they've struggled. It also requires the big Wendell to kind of read, all right, the ball handler coming around the screen. How high up do I need to be? How much can I sag off? But ultimately his responsibility is, cut off any shots at the basket. Like, don't let the rim attempts that they were, the blitz that they ran last year, it worked when it worked and it forced turnovers, but it also gave up a ton of easy looks at the rim to opposing teams. So that's been an adjustment for him. He said he's never really played a scheme so heavily skewed towards that before. And I really thought, even I mentioned the numbers going up, but even subtly, I thought the last 2 or 3 games, he was just looking a little bit more comfortable, more active, mucking up plays, making life difficult for opponents. He's getting to the free throw line a little bit more, which I think in terms of his assertiveness and confidence is a good way to measure that. And then this injury. So I think it's only going to be a 1 or 2 game max thing because he's doubtful for tomorrow, but it sounded like he's going to give it a go and see what he can do when they're in Charlotte. But we'll see. I was liking what I was seeing out of Wendell. I think he was trending in the right direction, as was Lauri Markkanen in the front court. So you hope that the injury isn't anything serious and that he can get back soon and kind of continue on with that momentum.
Interesting. Is Bruce frozen? I think Bruce is frozen.
It kind of reminds me of
Bruce.
It was kind of reminding me of one of those mime statues that they have in the middle, and you're like, you don't know if it's just gonna jump out at you,
I'm like, uh-oh. I don't even know if you guys could hear me or anything. I don't know. My Zoom quit and went away, and then came back.
I can hear you now. I was expecting Bruce to follow up, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think Bruce is there.
Oh, he's not moving.
That was good. Man, what was I did have something to follow up with the Wendell Carter comments that you were making.
Yeah.
So first of all, are you physically at the United Center for games right now or no?
As many as I can be. They have not been home very often recently. The last home game was the Rockets game on Monday. I was not at that one because I had podcast. We have our podcast, the Bulls Talk podcast on NBC Sports Chicago. We had to tape that kind of close to tip off, so I didn't end up being able to make the commute.
Okay.
So that one I was not at. I was going to be at the Celtics game that got postponed.
Right.
And those have really been the only 2 home games in the last 3 weeks. So I am there as much as I can be. We haven't been there much recently, but I will be kind of when they get back in a little bit of a home swing coming up soon.
So there's a method to the madness of me asking that question.
Yeah.
Have you noticed when you were actually at the games, since there's no fans, have you been hearing better communication on the back end on the defensive or with them?
So that's the thing is they have and I don't know the exact specifics of it, so I'll talk a little bit more generally, but they have the arena basically broken into zones, quote unquote tiers. Mm-hmm. So we're up in the 200 or 300 level seats. They don't want us within shouting distance of these players, obviously, because the COVID stuff is so tenuous.
Right.
We get our temperatures checked on the way in, but they don't want, we're all good. And I follow all the protocols and everything like that. Just in my own life, just because I'm just a cautious person with it. But they don't want us kind of even on the same level. So even when you go to the arena, for example, it's all still on Zoom and it's all done from hundreds and hundreds of feet away from each other. So actually, even without the crowd, my gauge on that is probably worse than it was last year. Because last year, they're basically, they had us courtside most of the time. Yeah. So even with the crowd noise, you could hear that a little bit better. And the other thing is with the noise factor, they still do all the same DJ in arena, like promotions, PSAs, music playing, because they want to simulate it for the players, like simulate the arena atmosphere even without fans. So no, it'd be pretty impossible to actually hear words coming out of guys' mouth. I mean, you do pick up on like little things that maybe the camera isn't always pointed at, but no, in terms of sound, it's pretty far removed compared to what it usually is.
Gotcha.
Gosh, Bruce, these are things that you would know if you were in person.
It's true. 100%.
And in fact, the picture that I sent you was like right next to my media seat, and you can kind of see that it's like elevated. It's on no,
100%.
Unfortunate.
So, okay, so let's move past that talk. Let's move on to Pat Williams. I love Pat Williams, by the way. I'm really enjoying watching him play right now. Super raw. But the amount of appreciation I'm seeing from a developmental standpoint in what he started off as, what little I saw of him from college to now is impressive. Surprisingly can shoot the three a lot better than I thought. That also said, what's your takeaway so far? What have you heard from players? How's his work ethic? Also his injury. I know he's kind of hurt right now at the hip, I believe.
He was back at practice today though, so it's looking like that's not anything to be alarmed about. He did miss one game, but I think that's an abundance of caution thing with the condensed schedule and everything like that. If there's even a hint of something, like just nip it in the bud. That's what that seemed like to me. But no, work ethic through the roof. Curiosity, inquisitiveness, asking questions, absorbing things. Like people could not be talking more highly about a guy than a lot of the vets and other players have talked about Patrick Williams. Like you said, I mean, I think he did have this reputation of being kind of a raw prospect coming out of school, and I think that's why a lot of people were down on the pick at number 4. Mm-hmm. The more I watched him at Florida State, and the more you heard Arturas Karnisovas talk about him, it was like, wait, is he that raw though? Because it might just seem like his opportunity was a little bit limited by his circumstance. Fair. And then he gets here, and like you said, the shooting has been so much better than I think. It's limited volume, like he's not shooting a ton, but the returns have been really positive there. He's got some handle, he's got some wiggle, he's got really nice kind of form and arc and release on his jumper. That mid-range, like the little off the dribble mid-range game that he has, it like could be a real weapon, that little in-between game. Obviously he's taken on a lot of really, really like all-time defensive assignments. Like
I love it. I love what they've thrown at him at such a young age. That's awesome. That's
and he's getting his butt kicked a little bit. Like you watch it on tape, you look at the numbers, it's like, oh yeah, he's getting kind of demolished here a little bit. Like that's okay. Yeah. But he has the little flashes where you're like, that is something to build on right there. Right. You saw it less in the Bucks game because they got blown out in that game. But I think, with the LeBron matchup, the defense that he played on him in the fourth quarter of that game, I thought was so markedly improved from the way that he was being handled a little bit earlier in the game. Mm-hmm. That I'm like, that right there is just something to build off of. Obviously, he's accepting the challenges, and this is something also that, especially with young players, but players of really any of any ilk, like it's one thing to be in the gym all the time and really, have the competitive fire and the drive. It's another thing to like do your homework and be technically, very absorbed in film and poring over game plans and things like that, and taking on the more analytical side of it. So I did ask Thad Young about that after the, I want to say it was the Lakers game, and he was like, yeah, he's an absolute film hound. Like anytime he gets a word that he's gonna, take the lion's share of responsibility guarding these guys, he's immediately asking me questions from my experience guarding like Giannis especially. Right. So I don't think you could say a negative word about the way that he has kind of developed so far. I mean, obviously he's 19, and the with training camp shortened and preseason shortened and all these things, it's not going to be perfect, but there's just no way that you could be anything but higher on him than when he was drafted. After seeing how this has played out, what I'm looking forward to is, and it's looking into the future, but seeing the jump from year 1 to year 2 with him when he is afforded that full off-season plan. Yeah. And he's just given that time to kind of study his own game and work out his own kinks and go into next year with really a more traditional break and off season and game plan. That is what I'm really excited to see, because he really seems like the type of player that could do that, could have that year 1 to year 2 leap, just given how he's responded to all the adversity he's faced so far.
Agree.
Yeah. So Rob, I think the last question I want to cover is, we talked a little while ago before the season, and especially Bruce was very high on the Bulls this year, and even recently still said that they're gonna make a playoff spot. He wants 8 seed, so sitting at 6 and 8 right now, I don't think that's a playoff spot.
It changes every day, and there's so many weird games going on this year. Like, it's so early to pick out of that crowd at the bottom of the East, but
it's our show, so I'm going to make you pick out of the crowd. Given what you've seen right now, Rob, you've been on here plenty of times. You know what you're getting yourself into. If you had to make a prediction right now, because I'm going to post this somewhere, what's your prediction going to be?
Wow.
I find this team so difficult to make predictions about, because just when you're starting to feel good about them and they're up by 18 at the half against OKC, like it's a disaster that is burned in my memory forever. Like, they're such a hard team to make predictions for. I'm looking at the standings right now.
They're 1 game off 8.
If you give me the play-in, I'm not there. I'm not quite there. I need to see it a little bit more over an extended period of time, and I need to see them. I think the way they bounce back from the OKC game is great. I hate it when people are like, "Oh, well, this guy was out and this guy was out." Like, the Bulls have had their fair share of rotation guys out too, so it's that's going around the league pretty evenly spread, and those availability concerns could swing their season at some point. I need to see them start to close these games more routinely. It's pretty much seems like a crapshoot that they're going to be in them at the end, and then down the stretch goes how it goes. But the thing that I'll say about watching them so far is there's really not a player that I've been disappointed with relative to expectations to this point in the season. Who can you, other than guys who have just been out due to protocols or COVID or injury or anything like that, like, who has underperformed? And I feel like last year that was the story of the team, was that everybody except for Zach was underperforming. So that would give me I could see where you'd make the prediction, and I wouldn't feel bad about predicting them going to the playoffs either, but I just need to see it a little bit more beyond 14 games, just a little bit more.
That's fair. I love everything that I've seen so far. I'm not gonna. I love what the bench has been doing. The fact that AK decided not to, and I do like his game, but I didn't see enough from him. Laurie Marketing, I love the decision on not falling in love with potential, and it's like, what have you done for me lately? I love the approach. Yeah. So,
and he's looked a lot more aggressive. He's getting to the foul line. Yeah. Last year the story of his season was kind of just the open threes not going in. They are this year. He's looked great. Lowry has.
Yeah. So one last thing before we let you go, Rob. What's the bourbon of choice this evening?
It's a glass of water tonight. I got some work.
Glass of water tonight.
I do have. I got an unopened bottle of Old Forester somewhere around here that I'll have to open.
Nice. We last week we actually had Scott Hairston on, and he was enjoying a nice glass of bourbon. I can't remember what it was though. That's the only issue. But I don't know. Anyway, it's a common theme amongst our guests to be enjoying a glass of bourbon.
We attract a certain type of people, apparently.
Hey, well, I already finished my juice, so.
Bruce had a hard day. Sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah,
for sure.
Certainly.
For sure. Well, thank you very much, Rob. As always, we love having you on. You are very smart when it comes to basketball. So we love having you on. Thank you very much, as always.
Good to see you guys. Always good to come on.
I appreciate it, Rob. Take care, brother.
Talk to you later. And Mr. Bruce, I don't know if you have anything to say, but we have Darnell McDonald sitting in the waiting room. So if you have anything to say it now or forever hold your peace, because I'm about to bring in more chaos.
More chaos. I like more chaos. I mean, come on. We're bringing in a guy that played for the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Cubs.
Yep.
So 3 historic franchises that this gentleman ended up playing for. So this should be pretty entertaining. And the Orioles, too. The Orioles are pretty damn good, too. So
yeah.
That's funny.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, how you doing, Darnell?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Oh, hanging in there, man. Hanging in there as best we can. I mean, I'm in Chicago, so it's pretty damn cold, but it is what it is. You know what you're getting into when you're in this area,
right? That's why you gotta enjoy the summer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
For sure. Well,
I
Darnell,
see that World Series flag.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I had the World Series flag. Got my Bears stuff. Got a Michael Jordan thing here. Blackhawks right here. Baseball team I coached right here.
Just don't look behind me. Don't worry about it.
So yeah. Thank you for having me on, fellas.
Absolutely. So Darnell, before we get going, I'll have you introduce yourself in a moment, but Bruce and I like explaining the dynamic that we have. So Bruce was my freshman high school assistant baseball coach. I make sure to put him in his place. He was not the head coach. He was the assistant.
Oh, that's the city assistant thing. Okay.
Yes, I do. So he was my baseball coach my freshman year of high school. We stayed in touch, and I am now in college. And we started this back in May of 2020. It was sort of quarantine inspired, and we've just been going on our ride. So we are very chaotic. We make fun of each other. We have a lot of fun. So don't be afraid to roast either me or Bruce. We are not afraid of that. So if you got something to say, feel free to say it. No need to have that much of a filter here.
Exactly. And if you have a cold snack, by all means, you're more than welcome to have some of that.
When did you pour another one? I didn't even see that.
The ability that I have. So Darnell, if you don't mind, can you please introduce yourself to our audience and let them know your awesome accomplishments and what you've been up to lately?
Yeah. So I'm Darnell McDonald. Played baseball 16 years professionally. Retired in 2013, started working with the Cubs, doing the mental skills, and was blessed to be a part of the 2016 World Champions.
Awesome. Thank you.
So absolutely. Thank you. Awesome fans out there. So, I tell people to this day that World Series celebration parade was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Never seen that many happy people in one place. That's something to never forget. But the last couple of years, I started a company, SVA Sport, and at SVA Sport, we believe in and we help people get in the zone, right? So we believe that presence is the ultimate gift, and not only as getting in the zone, but and for other people, but for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And so the good news about that is that that's something that we can practice, being in the zone, or I should say, more importantly, we can practice catching ourselves when we're not in the zone, and we can come back to that zone. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm passionate about teaching people, alongside, mental skills, all the things that if I could go back and I could do anything differently with my career, it wouldn't be anything physical. It'd be the mental side, understanding that it's a skill just like the other skills that we spend so much time developing really in the sports world.
Mm-hmm. No, I got to agree 100%, because you're going to run into a lot of guys that are physically gifted and have the ability, but because of whatever circumstances that might be there, mentally they may be checked out, and they're just solely relying on their physical attributes to get them through. So that's actually really cool that you're doing that. And at one point I had the idea of wasn't my idea, obviously, but I had the thought and the idea to develop something that inside a gym, to have like a sports therapy as well inside a workout area. So as you indicated previously about how it is as important as doing bicep curls as it is to help with your mental ability to process things and putting you in the most successful, opportunity that you can.
Yeah, man. So how's it going?
Oh no, I don't do that. I unfortunately I do not have the I didn't have the money or the backing to do it. So I actually work in technology at a high school and I coach sports. So I have my ability to impact people's lives at a young age. So that's where are we going? Why am I being interviewed now, Darnell? Come on now.
because that's what I do. And
I love it.
So you said, so baseball, what other sports?
Basketball.
Baseball and basketball. All right.
Yeah, basketball's my baby. That's I love baseball, but basketball was always my number one. That was always my number one.
I shut my basketball career ended my sophomore year of high school.
Really?
playing a game, and the coach was like, do something to help the team. And what I did was I turned in my uniform after that game, and I started focusing on football and baseball.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I did to help the team and the school. You like that, MJ?
Yeah, I like that.
Because basketball is I was a point guard. Dribble, distribute the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a lot of time to spend practicing shooting baskets. Right.
Okay.
Sort of like golf. Golf is really cool. It's really fun, and it's even more fun when you can play, right? And you can go out there and hold your own, and talk shit with your fellows because they're going to do it to you. And so yeah, that's I had to start choosing a little bit, and I chose the football and baseball.
I did play football as well, but that yeah, because I'm a short gentleman that cannot jump very high. So
tell me this: do you guys practice any mental skills?
Currently, actually, our newly appointed varsity coach does a very good job of doing that and having. Unfortunately, right now this year, not as much because of COVID. We just started having practices today, so we haven't been able to. But we have been doing Zoom stuff. We have been doing leadership things over Zoom, and it's actually. A lot of the kids take a lot of good things from it. A lot of them take good things from it. So, to answer your question,
tell you what,
go ahead.
You're going to be the best assistant coach all time, because I tell you what, I want you to tell your head coach that I want to get on a Zoom call with your guys' team, and we'll talk about a couple of these mental skills, or the skill of being present. So you take that to them. Let me know. Get back to me, and
sure.
We'll make that happen.
When we're off air, let's grab some. I'll grab your information and all that, and we'll go from there, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
So we're going to shift gears a little bit, though, Darnell. I want to ask you the question, though. How has it been, or how was it? You've had the opportunity to play for the Baltimore Orioles. You've had the opportunity to play for the Yankees. You played for the Boston Red Sox, and you obviously played for the Chicago Cubs. You've played for some pretty damn historic franchises. In your own words, how was that? What was the difference between the fan bases, if there was any, and just unique things that you experienced at each one?
Great question. So it was a blessing to just play baseball professionally, to be able to get drafted. It was a dream of mine. I got drafted in '97. I set my intention in '94 when a high school family friend, he got drafted by the Detroit Tigers, Matt Brunson, in '94. And I remember that day saying that I was going to do the same thing. And, then to go on and shoot, man, I spent a lot of time in the minor leagues, right? I spent a lot of time in the minor leagues, a lot of bus rides. And so to be able to play in places like Fenway Park, Yankee Stadium, Wrigley Field, amazing, unbelievable, everything and then some that you think of as a kid, watching it on TV. And so to be able to put on those uniforms that so many historic Hall of Fame players have put on, was and still is it's like a dream. So again, so I wanted to take that. So I got an opportunity to fulfill my dream doing that. And what's even more fulfilling is like being able to win a World Series on the other side as a coach and help other guys fulfill their dream. It's another thing that I fell in love with, and that's why I love this. The mental skills, the mental game, whatever you want to call it, mental toughness, resiliency, so many different names, all the same stuff. But I love to help people tap into those things. So I hope I answered your question. It's really, to really like put into like words. Like, okay, one, I dreamed about this all my life as a kid. I wrote a book, I think in third grade. I was like, I want to be a professional athlete. I didn't know what sport. I wanted to do all the sports. But then to be able to do that, and then like to spend a lot too much time in the minor leagues, going through so many ups and downs, battling through adversity, being a journeyman, and then to be able to suit up with some more like Hall of Famers, you know, play alongside them, you know, learn so much about the mental game, consistency, what it takes to be great. Yeah. So it was like that was my PhD. So I got my PhD doctorate by watching, you know, Derek Jeter, David Ortiz, Dustin Pedroia, Mike, and the list goes on and on. That's the best part of my career is that I was able to play with so many great players and learn so many great life lessons that I could pass along. And 2009, when I made my first big league team out of camp, when Dusty Baker told me, you made the team. Yeah. And so before I was even able to celebrate, like, oh, I made the team, and he all excited and emotional. He goes, and you're starting tomorrow, opening day versus Johan Santana.
Oh my gosh!
And, yeah, that's exactly. Right? So not only you made the team, you not only made the team, but you're starting versus Johan Santana, one of the best pitchers in the game at the time. So it was like I didn't have much time to celebrate. It was time to go to work, and you know, I ended up going 1 for 3 that day. Got a knock off of Johan Santana. The only thing I look back on, so I look back, I got a knock, and it was a single, and I come around first, and the outfielder kind of bobbled the ball, right? But I was kind of like celebrating. I just got a knock off of Johan Santana, so I was taking like I took a big league turn because I was feeling good about myself. Yeah, so again, now if you fast forward to like 2010 when I was with the Red Sox and I had got a little more time in the big leagues, I would have said I should have been on second base there. So, because that's how I prided myself in playing the game like that, like just all out. I call it it's the work pill mindset. You know what I'm saying? You bring your hard hat and your lunch pill and you go to work.
Yep. I love that. And you know, the cool aspect about that is, and one of the things that I preach as a coach is knowing your role. Be good at your role. Don't push yourself outside that. Let somebody else do it. You can't score. I don't care. You can still make an impact in somewhere else. That's what it is. So that's great.
I like that. I love it, actually, you know, and that's it, right? Like, that's the Bill Belichick, do your job. And if you focus on doing your job and each person focuses on doing your job, then we have something. When you talk about knowing your role, right? So in the minor leagues, you know, it's probably batting third, fourth, fifth, around there. Then you get called up, you're with the Red Sox, right? And well, they have a 3-hole hitter. They have a 4-hole, 5. They have these guys, right? And you know, one other story I'll tell you. So I was putting up these numbers in the minor leagues. I wasn't getting called up. I was getting frustrated. I was pissed off, and so I'm like, man, what do I have to do to get called up? And so what I did, I changed my mindset. Right? I said, you know, I'm going to focus on doing all the little things. When I say all the little things, hit the cutoff man, moving up on dirt balls. Being a good teammate, all things that you can control, right? And next thing I know, I'm playing in Fenway Park and doing the same thing. So that really prepared me more than anything when I changed my focus. And I hope, sorry, if this phone goes out, it means the battery's done. Anyway,
it's all good, man.
To be continued. So focus on these little things, and I was the 25th man on the roster, right? I'm playing with a bunch of superstars with the Red Sox. And it wasn't my job to drive in runs. It was my job to do those little things. focusing on, what energy I'm bringing to the field, picking the guys up around me. And I really started to understand what a winning team looks like, right? And that's what they do. Everyone does their job. And you allow people to do their job. And even though we didn't win a World Series with the Red Sox, it was the first time that I was like, or not, I shouldn't say the first time, because I won in high school. We won a little bit in the minor leagues. We never won like a championship, but in the minor leagues, it's a different mindset, right? Everyone's kind of thinking about themselves, putting up numbers to get to the big leagues. And then when you get to the big leagues, you got to change your mindset, right? And I'm in the big leagues now. Part of the development is understanding, like, you're surviving. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I belong here. I'm here. Yeah. And then you get to a point where I'm doing my job. Well, winning teams, that's what they do, I should say. And so that's part of the culture, right? You create this culture, and hopefully people can be themselves. And create this culture around like growth mindset, right? Instead of, you see your guy, this guy's 4 for 4 and you're 0 for 3. You're not mad and jealous of this guy, right? That you want that to inspire you, right?
Yeah.
And so be inspired by other people's success, and learn how to keep that even kill, right? It's really tough in baseball. You deal with a lot of failure. It's a lot of games, and if you are constantly riding that roller coaster, getting high, really high, and then getting low, man, it's a real stressful and way to play the game.
Well, 2 questions now. The puppy, I heard the puppy. There it is. There it is. That looks so much like my dog too.
She's mad. She's outside, but.
But no, we actually have one of our viewers that asked a question. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask you it. They asked, what's it like to play on a team that doesn't have that winning culture?
Ooh, yeah, that's a great question. I think it's different for everyone. For me, I like winning. That's what I did all my life. I won. I like it. And I tell people, like, I'm a front runner because I like winning and I like winners. So it was a big adjustment to go to the minor leagues, and we didn't you don't focus on winning, right? They're focused on developing.
Right.
Good teams are focused on both, right? Because how do you know how to win if you've never done it? You got to learn how to win. Just like you got to learn how to lose, you got to learn how to win. So to answer your question, playing on losing teams is not fun because it's just a bunch of people you lose because it's a bunch of individuals. It's not a team. So that's why you don't win. And when the best part about what I miss about baseball is like the camaraderie, the guys, family, people being together, playing cards in the clubhouse, talking shit, all traveling, the bus rides. Yes, the bus rides.
Yep.
That's the stuff I miss. But I say that because those are all things that are byproduct of winning.
Yep.
So when you have teams that stick together and they're like a family, those are teams that win because you're going to have adversity that you're going to go through. And when you go through that adversity, again, the ones that stick together come out on the other side as winners. Like that banner you got on your wall, 2016. Those guys were different than any team in 108 years, right? They're different because they were able to reset, come back to their intention, and they stuck together. Game 7 when Rajay Davis tied the game up.
Yep.
There's probably distractions. There's rain delays, probably distractions. So throughout those distractions, they were able to reset and, stay in the moment and execute and bring that championship back to back. I don't know if I can say back, but
yeah,
back either. I love it.
But Darnell, something I want to hear this story because you keep and I know it's casual to you because of how much time you've spent in professional baseball, but you keep casually mentioning the fact that you played with the Red Sox. And in my little digging, also known as I have your Wikipedia page pulled up, I'll be honest, your first game that you appeared in for the Red Sox, you not only hit a game-tying home run, but you also had the walk-off hit in your first appearance for the Red Sox at Fenway Park. So, I mean, while you're talking about, getting rid of the distractions, becoming more of a professional player, how do you just walk into Fenway Park and you're able to do that? I mean, for me, that's incredible. Granted, never played professional baseball, but how did your growth a couple years before help you do that?
It was easy, man. Like, no.
It was easy.
Like,
It's easy,
right, man. Like I just told you, I spent 10 years in the minor leagues, and then I'm going to tell you a story about that's even crazier. So when they actually called us up, it was Josh Reddick and I. They said, you called up, you're coming to Fenway Park, but we don't know if you're going to be activated. So we're sitting at the hotel. They called Reddick over first. I'm still at the hotel. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not going back. So they're calling me up. I'm going to Fenway. I'm not going back to Pawtucket. I don't care. So anyway, call is like, I don't know, 6 o'clock. Shit. All right, Darnell, come to the field. We're going to activate you. So I get there. So I was like, what number do you want? I'm like, I don't give me the same number I had in spring training, 54. I don't even care. Whatever. So no batting practice, nothing. Throw my uniform on, go out, we start the game, get to the 8th inning. Like, really, I wasn't really even expecting to play, to be honest with you. I didn't sleep the night before. I had no sleep. Matter of fact, I almost overslept. If it wasn't for the trainer, I would have missed my call to the big leagues to Fenway. So that's another story.
Wow.
Yeah, I missed the call, but we'll leave that part of it out. So I comes the 8th inning. Tito's like, what good leaders do, right? They tell you, they prepare you, right? If this happens, you're going to be ready. So he's like, if this person gets on, you're going to pinch hit. So I think it was Veritek got on. I think I ended up pinch hitting for Reddick, matter of fact. So damn, I'm pitch hitting. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. And Darren Oliver threw that breaking ball that broke right into my barrel. I hit the home run, and I'm running around the bases, and I'm like a movie. I'm delirious. Like I have no sleep. Did this really happen? But again, I don't have time to celebrate because I'm still in the game. Like I pinched it and came out the game. I'm like, woof, yeah. No, I'm still in the game. And you guys know the Red Sox, so they were on a 6-game losing streak. And you lose 6 games in Boston, that's like that is basically that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. There's a lot of urgency.
Far away.
Yeah, there's a lot of urgency, and Tito's chewing a lot of gum in there. Right? He's going through like buckets of gum. So anyway, I come back up in the 9th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs. Hit the wall ball. Game's over. So if you watch the video, I'm coming around first, and I'm like, okay, like we won the game. And then I turn and I see everyone rushing me, and that's like really when it hit me, like holy shit! I just hit a walk off in Fenway. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
They asked, and people asked me after that, like, was I nervous? And honest answer, like, no, I wasn't nervous. Because I wasn't nervous because as a kid and as an amateur, as a minor leaguer, I put myself in that position. I visualized myself being in that position before it happened. We used to play wiffle ball back in the day. Wiffle ball, we used to play in the tennis courts. Yeah, we used to do all that. And so what would you do when your parents were, all right, you guys, you got 10 minutes before you got to come inside. All right, we each got one more bat. All right, base loaded, 2 outs. Here we go.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I get to Fenway, bases loaded, 2 hours. I've already been here. I've already done this. Now it just happened. And so, and if that moment wouldn't have happened, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys right now. And I might wouldn't have been around for that 2016 World Series, right? And so, again, I say that because the name of the game, and we talk about timing. Like everyone say, life is timing, baseball timing, everything's timing. Eddie Vera once told me, he's like, it's like a drummer. The drummer's always on time.
Yep.
Like, oh, I like that. So
that's good.
But the key is you have to be ready for that time, right? You got to be ready. We know it's timing. Hitting's timing. Like playing football, like quarterback with Tom Brady, it's timing, right? 3-step drop. He's throwing that ball to a spot.
Yep.
Right? And he's on that receiver to be in that spot because they've practiced this timing. Okay, so can you be ready for your time when it comes? Be ready. Be ready. Why? Because you have control over being ready, right?
Yep.
That's it.
So we had one of our viewers right now make a comment saying, Darnell, I was at the game you were at. You were perhaps the best one that night.
I hope so. No, it's you know what's funny, hilarious. So I've watched this video on YouTube, different videos, you know, because now we have the phones and people can take the videos and they announce my name. And at the time, they're like, who the hell is this guy? Darnell McDonald. I'm like 54. And then in the game, they're like, oh, God, Darnell. You know, here's a funny story for you. So the next day, I'm staying in Pawtucket. I was commuting back and forth. And so the next day, driving to the field, get pulled over. I'm speeding. All right, can I get your license, sir? Take my license out and hand it over to the officer. Takes a look, like, Mr. McDonald, great game last night. Like, you know, by the way, we have some speed traps out here. So, you know, be careful. Good luck tonight. I was like, holy shit. Did this really happen? So that's when I knew, like, Red Sox Nation is the real deal. Like, this is no joke. And you get to the field and you come out for the game, and we got people, they didn't have the McDonald jerseys yet, right? So I remember this one gentleman come out and he made his own jersey. He wrote the 54 McDonald on his t-shirt. And I was like, you people are nuts out here.
That's great.
That's awesome. Darnell, the last thing I want to ask you about, I mean, let's be honest, I could sit here and Bruce and I could have you tell stories all day. So we'll definitely have to have you back sometime. But the one thing I really want to hear about before we let you go is the night that you pitched. Because, you know, there's Twitter, especially, and social media, loves when position players pitch. And it's not as much of a thing recently. I think last year they didn't even allow it at all. But, I mean, just walk us through first the scenario for you to get on the mound, your reaction when you get told, all of that, because I love seeing position players pitch.
Well, I'm glad you love it.
Hey, hitters love it too, Darnell. Hitters love it too.
I don't know if they do, to be honest with you. Like, it's
so slow.
It's like you're supposed to get a hit. You know, you're like, this position player's pitching. You're supposed to get a hit, and if you don't, like, you really feel like a jackass. But when I pitched this first time pitching, obviously professionally, I have 2 innings. I have an ERA. So I tell guys I'm an expert pitching coach. It's so again, because we started this whole deal, we said the assistant coach got to do your job, right? Do your job. So my job, like, I do everything. I'm 25th man. They asked you, I'm ready. Let's go. Can you pitch? Yeah, I can pitch. Let's go. So it was I get on the mound and I was I was nervous. I was more nervous than that when I pinch hit, right?
Yeah.
You do the warm-ups, and then a batter steps in there, and then I realize it's not as easy as it looks to throw a strike. That's not easy to do. So the first time I pitched versus the A's is a blowout. And so, okay, whatever. I'm just throwing it in there. I actually ended up sawing Matsui off. He signed the bat for me, so I had that to show. I threw him an 86-mile-an-hour cutter and buzz sawed him. But it was nerve-wracking. But to see, the best part about that first time, if you look at this video, watch the guys playing behind me. Dustin Pedroia makes an unbelievable play on a short chopper. And that's just a testament to this guy. We're in a blowout. We got a position player on the mound. And this guy basically makes a web jump for me. I'm like, that's why I love this guy. The second time I pitched, I was pitching in a tie ball game. You know what I learned from that tie ball game is that you don't want to be 2-0 to a big league hitter. That's not fun.
Nope.
Strike one, because when you're 2-0 to a big league hitter, not only you're really nervous, like this guy might kill me with this ball right now.
Yeah.
Okay. The big leaguers, again, I don't care how hard you throw. If you're 2-0, 3-1, those guys will put barrel on the baseball.
Yep.
So how important it is to get ahead in the count. Strike one, very important. See, that's the best pitch in baseball. And so again, I told you I'm a pitching guru now because I have 2 innings. I think I have a 4-something ERA.
Let's go.
And, so that makes me, I have credibility to teach pitching.
You do?
So,
if you guys need a pitching coach,
I can't. I'm sorry. I was trying to take it seriously, but then I couldn't.
You were. Yeah, you were. That was the best part about it. He was like, what?
Bruce is like,
I'm like, come on.
Bruce is like, I'm not going to tell him otherwise. He's pitched in the major leagues. I haven't.
Yeah.
So if you guys need some pitching, tips for your team, we can do that also.
Fair.
All good stuff. Oh, something else about that. So like young kids, I was working with the Cubs. That's what they know me for. They're like, you played. You pitched. You pitched. And I'm like, yeah. No, I also played too. Like,
I also hit and fielded. And...
Right. They don't say nothing about the walk off or the ball, homer. They say, oh, you pitched.
That's funny. So Darnell, before we let you go, I gotta ask. God rest your soul. I would hate for her to see this and not have me ask. My mother passed away of cancer, but she thankfully was able to see her. I'm quoting her Chicago Cubs win a World Series. That said, her favorite player on that team was Anthony Rizzo. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you how nice and how genuine of a guy is that guy?
Well, rest in peace to your mother, and you are a great son to ask this question. But yeah, Tony, as I call him, Tony Rizzo is, that's a big leaguer, right? Yeah. So big leaguers, they do it on and off the field.
Yeah.
And that's what a big leaguer is. He's, everything that you want to be, like a teammate, a winning player. He's that guy, and he's that type of person. And anyone that, does the stuff that he does off the field, like he does more off the field than he does on the field. And he's obviously, we know how good he is on the field. And so that's how the Cubs won the World Series, right? Because we said that you win with good people. Mm-hmm. It takes talent, yes, indeed, but you win with good people. And so, one thing, he said, good people make good Cubs. And he's, definitely the leader of that. And, if you're a kid and you want to watch someone, watch that guy. That guy does things the right way, plays the game the right way, and that's someone that you want to watch and emulate.
For sure.
I love it.
Good stuff, Darnell, man. Hey, so just so you know, I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn. I already got your stuff pulled up right now. I just want to give you a heads up now.
I get on LinkedIn once a year.
Okay, so
connect with me. MJ has my email.
Yeah, I'll send you his email.
You're gonna be a good assistant coach. Get the email me, and I'm telling you, we're gonna set it up for your team, and we're gonna talk about being in the zone, getting in the zone. How do we get in the zone? So that's for the next time.
Got you. I appreciate it, Darnell. Thanks so much, man.
Yes.
But look me up on LinkedIn. I'm get on there because you said that, and we'll connect there also.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much, Darnell. Like I said, we're definitely going to have you back because there are so many more stories I want to hear. But thank you for that. And obviously, I was born and raised in Chicago, so thank you for being a part of that World Series because even though I am not a Cubs fan, I will definitely never forget that. So thank you for that, and thank you for being on the show today.
Go Cubs, go.
Sir.
Go Cubs, go.
Sounds good.
Yeah, have a great night.
Talk to you later.
Good dude.
There we go. I don't know why that's happening. Okay, let me get back to us.
Nice. I'm like, there you go.
Bruce Males. What a
Yes,
show.
sir.
What a show. And we're not done.
Somehow, some way, my ass made it through the chaos that has been going on this whole week.
Oh my gosh.
MJ, final thought. Wait, hey, we gotta get our picks, dude.
Yeah, we gotta talk a little bit of football. I know we're both very tired. We both have busy days, but we gotta talk a little bit of football.
Let's hear, kid.
So what the Green Bay Packers did to the Los Angeles Rams. I will preface this by saying I definitely think the Rams defense is overrated. I do not think they were statistically they were the number one defense in the NFL this year, but they played the entire NFC East. Their schedule was not that tough. Just personally, from what I saw throughout the year, the one really good offense they played, they got shellacked by the Rams. They are the Rams. They got shellacked by the Bills. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's what I was looking at. I'm like, okay, the Bills did that. Packers are going to be good. 32-18. So given that disclaimer, what the Green Bay Packers did to a number one defense, putting up 475 yards and 32 points, has never been done in NFL history. So basically, if the Green Bay Packers are going to lose, it's going to be because of the defense, and the defense has only given up 20 points once in the last 7 games. So, I mean...
Well, hold on. Before you finish that,
yes,
we're going to put people in suspense.
Ooh.
The weekend is right around the corner, and there are plenty of things going on in Central Illinois to keep you and the family busy, whether you're just visiting or you call the heart of Illinois home. Discover Peoria. The Peoria Area Convention and Visitors Bureau has dropped us some information about a few weekly discoveries you won't want to miss, MJ.
And the first one.
Oh no. Do you want to go first? Or
Bruce, you can go first.
Paradise, because I like golf.
You do.
Paradise is now open. Paradise is back open with the casino open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. with table games opening up at 10 a.m. So why am I reading the gambling one? I see what
I wonder why.
The Tin Lizard Bar and Grill is also reopened daily from 4 to 9 p.m. for patio dining, to go and curbside pickup. For patio dining reservations will be required. Nelson's Deli is also open daily from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. and FanDuel Sportsbook will be open from 1 to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday and 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. You know how much I love FanDuel.
Oh, yeah.
For more information about Paradise's reopening, can be found on their website, paradisecasino.com.
And finally, visit Wildlife for some winter fun. So if you haven't heard, Wildlife has 2 new white bison, which, given the lack of much there is to do in Peoria right now because of COVID restrictions, that is really exciting. So the park is open throughout the winter from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. every single day. Have a weekend getaway by staying in one of the lodging options like the luxury cabins or the Santa Fe train cabooses. Very interesting, very classic. Check out Wildlife's listing. What are you talking? Oh my gosh! Check out Wildlife's listing on discoverpeoria.com. They will have less inappropriate information than Bruce has.
Whatever. Anyways, now let's hear it. Let's hear it, kid. What's the prediction?
So,
give me that final score, dog.
My prediction for the game this week, I'm gonna go.
Ooh, tough one.
31-24 Packers.
31-24.
So Tom Brady was given 4 drives where he started inside the New Orleans territory. I was not impressed by their offense. Antonio Brown is going to be limited. Ronald Jones is still slightly limited. The Green Bay Packers are not going to forget. I don't know if you heard what I think it was Levante David said about the Packers after their Week 6 just absolute beatdown. He said in his press conference, those guys didn't deserve to be on the field. And let's just say there have been some Packers guys talking about that this week, and that is not going to go well. They've learned their lesson from what happened to them with San Francisco last year. On paper, it looks like exactly the same. You get destroyed by a very good defense. However, the Bucs after that Packers game, they've had a 14th ranked defense in the NFL since then. They've just been average. And you know what the Packers do to average defenses? You know what the Packers do to the number 1 defense? 32 points and 475 yards.
Okay, so real quick, I love this, and I wanted to make an attempt, not an attempt. I wanted to actually do research on this because I wanted to take a look at and compare stats between Rodgers and Brady, like the way you did it.
Yeah.
And I thought, and by the way, and keep in mind, and this is not an argument against what you did. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
One of the things and I'm really hoping I can remember the stats specifically, but since the age of 37. And that sounds so weird because I'm 36. But since the age of 37, Tom Brady has 14 playoff wins. 14
That's impressive.
Playoff wins.
Yeah.
The fact that a guy that's 37 years old, now he's 40. Is he 42?
43.
43 years old. He's got more wins from that 6-year duration than the Bears have in I think 50 years. I think there was some ridiculous stat like that in the playoffs. So anyway, prediction time. Let's go. So I did pick the Buccaneers to get to the Super Bowl. However, seeing what I've seen this year and seeing how freaking awesome MVP, and yes, I'm saying MVP Rodgers has been playing. I'm going to go, I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring. I'm going to go 34-31 Packers.
Okay.
And it pains me to say it, but I will say though, oh, by the way, real quick, I gotta let you guys know about this. I had a 14 parlay that I hit and I would have won last week. I predicted all my teams won that I predicted on our show last week. 14 parlay. I was like, let's go. I feel confident. I feel great.
Yeah.
Your boy right here pussed out and didn't follow through with it because I cashed in the second, at the end of the halftime of the Saints Buccaneers game. Why? I don't know. I did profit. I would have won a little bit more, but I pussed out. There that is. Anyway, real quick. My prediction for the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
Josh Allen's a stud. He is in the top 3 right now in the MVP race, in my opinion. I love watching the Bills play. I think that they have a very I don't want to say underrated because they're not underrated. I think underappreciated is a better way to
Yeah.
say it.
Uh-huh.
I think they have a very underappreciated defense. Patrick Mahomes, while yes, he's fine, he's been practicing, whatever.
Yeah.
He would have gone back in that game if we were playing the game against the Browns when he got the concussion and knocked out. He would have been back in that game if it was the early 2000s. But that said, I'm actually going to say it's going to be a Packers-Bills showdown as the Bills beat the Chiefs. They will beat the Chiefs 24, I'll say 24-17.
Yeah, I will say, even granted, Mahomes was out for the last couple minutes, whatever, of that game. Chiefs didn't impress me. They let the Browns stay around. And you and I discussed how fraudulent both the Browns and the Steelers were. So, whoever won that game, whatever, don't particularly care. Happy the Browns got a playoff win. Props to them.
Same,
they got
same.
a playoff win. Happy for the city of Cleveland. They deserve it. They got an NBA championship with LeBron a couple years ago, so they're fine.
Yeah,
but,
right. Get out of here.
But you let the Browns stay around like that, and you have to rely on Chad Henne to come back. Granted, anything is possible.
That play he made on the 3rd and long.
That's all he can do. He can't throw the football. That's all he can do.
Real quick, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting what you're about to say.
Yeah.
But the fact that Andy Reid had the balls to go for it and throw the ball on that play, and the fact that he completely proved Tony Romo wrong, I absolutely loved.
Okay.
Tony
Romo got faked out because everyone got faked out. Nobody thought that play was
right. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I just I don't want to say I have an unhealthy obsession with proving Tony Romo wrong, but sometimes he says things that annoy me.
You're just mad because he's smarter than you.
Oh, he's way smarter. I'm not saying actually, I'm more upset at the fact that he's a way better golfer than I am. I don't give a shit about anything else.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that.
But anyway, so what do you got? What do you got for the score?
Yeah, Bill. I'm gonna go Bills 31, Chiefs 27. I think it's gonna be a shootout, and I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are gonna be better than Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. I think, Patrick Mahomes is still the most talented football player, but just watching the Bills this year, the Chiefs they look like they've been coasting, and they won't be able to coast, and I don't know if they're going to be able to turn it on. Listen, I won't be surprised if they win that game, but at the same time, if I had to put money on it, I would put money on the Bills, and I wouldn't feel bad about it at all.
Agree.
Yeah.
So real quick before we end up closing, we just referenced balls and turning on. So I'm very upset right now.
We told our friends that we don't exactly have the most G-rated show in the world.
No, and the fact I had to make sure that we let them know. Oh, big announcement! I did say that too. Real quick, if you did not know, guys, we did post it on our Twitter, but MJ and I were accepted to the Senior Bowl to cover part of it. We're still waiting on a little bit more information to let you guys know who we are going to speak to and talk to and all that jazz. But somehow, some way, these two one knucklehead and professional,
sort of professional,
got media credentials for the Senior Bowl. So yours truly is going to be talking to. I'll give a little preview. I do want to talk to Ian Book because I know we got some Notre Dame people out there that pay attention to it. He sucks. He's not going to get drafted, but I still want to talk to him. And Kyle Trask, guy who the Chicago Bears may go after in later rounds. So awesome. Real quick, Darnell, thank you so much, Darnell, for jumping on, and I will definitely touch base with you. Appreciate you being on. Also appreciate Rob, as always. The knowledge that guy comes with is amazing.
He's a freaking genius.
100%. And so MJ, thank you too. And I'm going to shut up and finish my juice.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Good show as always. Bruce and I are exhausted, so we're going to call it, and we'll be back next Thursday with Ray Richleski, who is the special teams coach for the Colts during the famous onside kick against the Saints in 2009. He has the best depiction of that story that I have ever heard in my life, so that will be the first thing I ask that man. And he is great, and he will probably harass Bruce. So stay tuned for that.
Never know.
Yes, stay tuned for that, and we will see you guys next week.
See you guys. Peace.